Today I introduced a bill to keep us in compliance with the law. We need to set funding for schools, and we need to do that 30 days after the governor's budget release. That day is today. It lost. We are now not in compliance with the law. And I think at this time when schools are worried about what the reform package is going to be like, there's lots of variables out there, we need to give them the stability and at least knowing where their funding is going to be at for 2014. So I'd like to see us move on this and give funding to education and not let our kids be hanging out there. Okay, any questions? Or
are there any potential consequences for not doing this, for not setting allowable growth? I mean, can any action be taken?
We're pretty sure we can impeach all of them.
The consequences are with the kids and the teachers and the administrators and all those out there trying to get a budget, and they have all their costs are going up, energy, transportation, all those things they're trying to plan for. And if you don't have, you know, last year the governor talked about stability in budgeting. This really isn't stability in budgeting for schools.
How does this all get resolved? I mean, it seems like...
I think it's pretty clear. I think it's really kind of fascinating. I guess this is their new attempt at regulatory reform. If you don't like a state law, don't obey it. That's what the House Republicans have said. They have it within their power. They can certainly take up a bill to make it zero allowable growth and pass that bill. That's what the law requires. They choose to ignore the law. I think that's unfortunate.
Will you use the allowable growth issue for leverage on other issues? I mean, is this enough to keep other legislation from moving forward?
I'm not going to comment on our relative different strategies to convince the House to do the right thing. School districts need to know what their budget is going to be. We're going to ask them in education reform to do a bunch of new things and make improvements to student achievement, get better results. We're going to be asking them to do a number of things. Don't they deserve to at least, number one, know what their budget's going to be? Senator Bolkcom is also here to talk about a bill we'll pass next week.
To finish up the education issue, one thing I want to point out, it's likely when or if you ask the Republicans later today, why are you chosen to be in violation of the law by not setting the allowable growth by its deadline today, you're likely to hear a response, because I've heard it from their members, well, the Democrats did it in 2010 when the economy really shrank and we did the governmental reform proposal. That's not true. We altered the law in a timely fashion in what's called session law so that all school districts and all school administrators would know that we were not setting allowable growth, because they came to us and said, can you hold on setting it to see where the receipts are later in the year. So we changed the law so we'd be in compliance with the law and that there'd be predictability for school budgets. So I wanted to point that out, that we have, for the last several years, actually followed the law. Sorry, Joe.
No, you're good. Good morning, everybody. Joe Bolkcom, Iowa City, Chairman of the Ways and Means Committee. I think everybody has a handout on the building blocks for better jobs. I'd like to talk for a minute about one of the pieces of that. Our job creation effort is the Earned Income Tax Credit. As you know, it is the most effective anti-poverty program in the country. It helps working families, those families that go to work at jobs that make less than $45,000 a year. In Iowa, the Earned Income Tax Credit helps 500,000 Iowans. That number includes 260,000 families that care for almost 40% of Iowa's children. Increasing Iowa's Earned Income Tax Credit from 7% of the federal EITC to 13% will cost the state approximately $25 million annually. That's the bill that the Senate Ways and Means Committee approved yesterday. Iowa's working families will spend that tax cut in their local communities, buying food, milk, gas, repairing the family car, and paying medical bills. This has not been a partisan issue. It passed unanimously yesterday as well as a couple times last year. Iowa families would be benefiting this year from this tax cut, but as you know, Governor Branstad actually vetoed it twice. We think that was a mistake that we hope to correct next week when the full Senate takes this bill up for consideration. 25 and change, $26 million approximately.
Tuesday.
And you're confident it'll pass?
Yes.
Do you have any assurances the House will even debate it?
I think the House was incredibly receptive to this last year. They worked with us both on the original passage of the bill and then later when we added it to one of the final budget bills. So the House has been very supportive of this, and yeah, I think they'll certainly be willing to consider.
Have you had any conversations with the governor about whether he's changed his mind?
I guess in our view, yes, we've had conversations with the governor. I guess in our view, we passed a number of tax measures last year that took care of folks relative to things like capital gains and expensing, and a whole host of things that benefit middle and upper income Iowans, and we supported those things. This is one for the bottom economic rung of the ladder. This really directly puts $25 million back into Iowa's economy that goes to Main Street businesses in the state of Iowa. I mean, the people that get this benefit spend this money and add to the economy. So the multiplier effect is well over $100 million in terms of the state economy. We think it makes a lot of sense, and we were disappointed in the governor's vetoes last year. We're going to do our best to get this done.
Senator Sheldon yesterday in committee asked why, since this had such broad bipartisan support, an attempt to override the governor's veto wasn't brought up.
We have still not ruled that possibility out. I think we think this session is supposed to be about looking for common ground, not for playing games of chicken. So we're trying to engage in good faith and work legislation through the process and get it accomplished. We're trying to lower the partisanship this session, and what better bill to do it, one that benefits 500,000 Iowans, and passed the Senate 46-4, got broad support from the Republicans in the House as well as the Democrats. So we think this is common ground. Anything else?
Your thoughts on the property tax bill that is making its way through the House Ways and Means Committee?
My analysis is that it changes the taxes in such a way that it reduces taxes $560 million for commercial entities in the state of Iowa. The House bill makes up for that with $240 million. So the net tax shift it creates is $310 million on residential properties. That's the biggest tax shift in the history of the state. $310 million increase to residential and ag property in this state. That's kind of been one of our litmus tests. If it's a tax shift, we don't support it.
So there's still more work to be done on that.
Yes, safe to say.
Is this what passed yesterday in the House subcommittee? Is that taking a step backwards? Because there's no longer. My question, I guess, most directly pinpoints on the. There were some areas in there that the rollbacks wouldn't take place until they met certain levels. That's no longer in there, if I understand correctly. Is that? Can you guys comment on that?
I think I can go to the simple comment. Yeah. $560 million tax cut for commercial, make up for it with $240 million. That's a $310 million tax shift to residential. I did not run for election to try and raise taxes on homeowners. Anybody else? Thanks for coming.